Good morning and welcome back to the allotment. It's August the 4th today, and it's a little bit after 7 AM. I thought I'd do an early plot tour and just thought I would show this lovely sunflower that I didn't plant or sow the seed for, but just appeared. So it's a welcome surprise. It looks like it's going to be a multi-headed sunflower. It seems to have certainly 4 or 5, if not more, heads coming that will produce little small sunflowers like that. So I'm pleased because I didn't sow any this year and missed out a bit, I think, but I'm pleased we've got that. And I've also got another one. I'll wander down this way and show you. Also got another one that was in the middle of the potato bed, but this is different variety, and I know that I sowed some similar to this about 2 years ago, so I guess it's probably a seed that dropped into the ground back then and has germinated this year and produced this lovely sunflower. So anyway, now let's talk about what's going on the plot. There's some good things and some not very good things. I don't know, you can see these labels, but I've got lettuce and beetroot, and this is now the 4th sowing, I think. And once again, although there are odd signs of germination, it's difficult to know at this stage whether that's lettuce and beetroot or weeds. Beetroot a bit easier to spot, and there are definitely a few beetroot, and I think, just judging by the pattern, for example, if we go down here, and you can see that there is kind of a row, which is obviously, I sowed them in a row, so that's what you would expect. But the ones that I sowed back at the beginning of July here, absolutely nothing, apart from a clump there and another one over there of beetroot. Everything else in this bed that you can see at the moment are weeds, so complete failure. And I want to say failure to germinate, but I'm not, I don't know, I'm wondering, having looked at this one and the weather conditions that we've been having recently, I wonder whether they've just been mowed off almost instantaneously by slugs. So I have actually now, which I don't like doing, treated this area with a few slug pellets just to see, and there's definitely a lot of slug activity, so I'm trying to keep on top of that, and also trying to remove the dead slugs so they don't get eaten by the birds or things like hedgehogs, because I really don't want to get slug pellets into the food chain. So I don't know if anybody else is having similar problems. I mean, this bed had the potatoes in prior to this sowing of lettuce and beetroot, and potatoes were fantastic. It has had a treatment of manure, well rotted compost before the sowing, so there should be no reason that I can see that would mean that they're not germinating. So my best guess is a really duff batch of seeds, and I've been really unlucky twice, 3 times. Well, first time was probably too cold. Second time, I'll show you in a sec, they're all starting to go to seed anyway. The third time and the fourth time, either really duff batches of seeds and they just haven't germinated, or, as I say, kind of taken out more or less instantaneously by slugs. Given that it's happened twice, I'm kind of erring towards the latter rather than poor germination. But you know, this year's been a really bizarre year for germination, particularly if things like sweet corn didn't germinate well. This is the second lot, and as you can see, that they're going to seed rapidly, which is a shame because it means I've got really not much in the way of follow-on crop from this, and I would have thought if I'm not quick, I'm not going to get much of a harvest off of the remainder that's here. I mean, there's still some in there that are holding good and haven't bolted yet, but these are all, as you can see, they're starting to bolt and go to seed. So we'll see. Leeks are doing well. Pleased with the leeks. Haven't harvested any yet. Still, there's a little bit of sign of some rust here and there. I'm not too worried about that at the moment, but I'm keeping an eye on it. But there's some good sized ones there, and hopefully they'll see us through the winter. I haven't had to water the plot now for about, well, most of July, to be honest. I think I did at the very start of July, but it's been so wet, and it's just meant that we haven't had to come down and water at all. I think we had our kind of summer in May and June this year, and now we're having a kind of wet spring, it seems. These are gherkins that I sowed from seed. There should actually be 12, but only 2 have germinated. There are a few, there's one that you can see in there, just coming through, and a couple on that plant. Just an experiment, really. I'm not too bothered if we get anything or we don't. I just wanted to give it a go and see what we got, because I quite like pickled gherkins, so I figured if we got a reasonable crop, I'd pickle a few and see what happens. The tendrils don't seem to like the canes, which I guess is probably because the canes are a bit too thick for the tendrils to wrap around, so I'm just supporting them with plastic clips, and the one over there, you can see, as if we can get the camera to focus on that. It's not going to. Let's try zooming in. As you can see, it just needs tying in at the top, which I'll do in a minute. Otherwise, rainbow chard, that's doing really well. Getting some reasonable crops off of that. Just lift the cover off of this. Is white topped Milan turnips. In fact, if I show you the seed packet, that's what they should look like when they're fully grown. This is them, looking like they've had some flea beetle damage, and quite a reasonable germination. So germination of some things is not a problem, but it does seem salad crops this year are not doing so well. But hoping we might get a few turnips. I don't generally grow turnips or swede because I just don't have any success with them, but I shall be trying to thin these out a little bit, I think, now. I've reached the kind of stage where if I don't, they're just going to be more like thin radish type turnips rather than nice round fat turnips, so we'll see. This is the this is the first crop of beetroot, so they're doing quite well. We've had quite a lot, probably 1 or 2 more harvests there, and then red kale and regular curly kale, which is doing well, and a sowing of purple sprouting broccoli, which again only half seems to have germinated. So there's there, and then if I bring the camera back, other than a couple of dandelions and a few odd plants, fairly unsuccessful. But I don't know, I really don't know. I'm just perplexed about germination this year. Broccoli, this has done well, but this was grown from plants rather than direct from seed in the ground. You can see we've had, I don't know how many heads of broccoli. I think I harvested 2 yesterday. There's 1 more there, and we're starting to get second growth as well. So if I show you this one, you can kind of see dead centre there. We had the original head that was on the plant, and then just above that is a side shoot forming. So these do really well. And again, there's another one over there. So I'm really pleased I think I've said several times, so apologies if I'm repeating myself, but these are a variety I've had quite a bit of success with and intend to keep growing. And in fact, I've got some more plants to put out today, which will overwinter and be kind of early spring varieties. Apples, it doesn't seem to matter how many apples I actually take off of this tree to try and unladen it. I just can't keep up with what's growing, so I've kind of, as I can't keep up, I've kind of given up, and I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. It does seem to be doing okay in the sense of there's no major damage to the tree. It's just, as you can see, massively laden with fruit, so hopefully we will get some apples soon. They're normally ready, this is variety, it's normally ready about late September, mid to late September, so another couple of months really to go before they're ready to be harvested. So moving on, sweet corn. Yeah, nah. Excuse me, bit of a cough. Bit more of a cough, I apologise. Not many silks on my sweet corn, not many female. In fact, it only seems to be the ones around the edge of the block. Whether that's just they haven't formed in the middle yet, but they're all about the same size in the centre, so we're getting, I don't know, less than half are forming silks, which is a bit odd, and we'll see, we'll get some, I suspect. I noticed my two plot neighbours, the one that's above me here and the one that's next to me, they've both got blocks of sweet corn, and they're having problems with, I think it's badgers pushing the plants over. I'm not having a problem with badgers, I'm having a problem with the wind, and mine are getting blown over, so I've had to stake some of the plants just to keep them off the ground because they've blown right over. So whether it's just they're suffering a bit with the weather, I don't know. Given that they're wind pollinated, you think they'd need some wind, but we shall see. And then we have the pumpkin and courgette patch, which is doing fantastically well, I have to say. We're not getting too many courgettes, just about the right number. I think we're teetering on the edge of being in official glut. The yellow ones, probably because there's more yellow plants, seem to be doing a bit better than the green ones, generally anyway. And then I've got probably 4 reasonable sized pumpkins coming, so one there, and then there are 2 more over the other side. These are the 2 biggest, and this one is the one that's furthest along, and it's just starting to turn that kind of orange. They're Atlantic giant pumpkins, and yeah, given last year's total failure, I'm pleased this year to have, well, we get at least 1, hopefully we'll get all 4, and it's still putting out tendrils, but they're not going to develop now, so I'm going to cut them back just because they're going a bit berserk, and I want them to put the energy into forming pumpkins. You probably can't see, but if I zoom in, there's another one. Where are we? There. So that's number 3, and then number 4 is just next to it, and I don't think I can show you that from this side. The other thing we're growing this year, which is pattypan squash. As you can see, there's one there. These are really nice, they're nice and tasty. I just wish they were a bit more productive, because they only seem to produce 1 at a time. And there's lots of things you can do with pattypans, like stuff them and things like that. But it's a bit hard really just if you've only got the one, because they're a bit small for a meal for more than one anyway. Stuffed, I would think. So yeah, we shall see. So yeah, that's the other one that I was showing you over there, and then there's one down there which is quite small. That's only about the size of well, it's a little bit smaller than a football. The others are kind of more basketball size. So yeah, that's it, I think. Oh, cucumbers, I didn't talk about them. They're just going really well. They produce these little dumpy cucumbers, and they're doing quite well. I'm getting 2 or 3 a week, which is plenty. And they seem to like going up the canes rather than being on the ground, so yeah, I'm pleased with those. Anyway, I've got some broccoli plants to put in, and a bit of tidying up, and coffee to drink, and various other things to do today. So I will say to you thank you for watching, and I will speak to you again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.